the place that it all goes down.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the TWSN Soccer Sit-Down Show. I'm Joe Camarota, joined with Max Marrero. We're ready to get underway here. How you doing, Max?
Doing well. Prayers to Ukraine, to the Ukrainians. There's a lot. The world is kind of a mess right now, but it's good to kind of just escape from that a little bit and talk some sports. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. It's awful over there right now, but I guess sports in a way can be an outlet for it to, take our minds off that terrible situation that's going on and the terribleness that plagues the world sometimes.
Absolutely.
Let's start off with some Arsenal Football Club here. We haven't talked about them in a while, and they've been on a great run of form. They just got a big win over Wolves with a Alexander Lacazette 90th minute winner, and they're really in the driver's seat for fourth place right now. And do you think they can get it? Do you think they will get it?
I don't know if I could say they will, because I think that fourth spot is kind of up for grabs. I know that last week we kind of were touching on that they're the favorites. I still remain, I still think that they are the favorites because, we've seen it with Tottenham. Tottenham can go out and beat City but lose to Burnley. Like, there's a lot of inconsistency there. And with Arsenal, I think there's a lot of similar questions, but I think that in general, given the fact they have 2-3 games in hand from that fourth spot, and the way that Man United have been playing, which again is incredibly inconsistent, I would have to lean Arsenal. But again, all of those teams that I just mentioned, they're capable of losing to anybody and beating anybody. So it just depends on what week you get for those teams. There's a lot of lack of consistency, but yeah, I'm going to lean Arsenal.
Yeah, and speaking of Arsenal and Manchester United, that race. Manchester United has 2 games in hand right now over Arsenal. I think it's going to be 3 once their match kicks off today, I believe, but I could be wrong on that one. And they're only 2 points clear of Arsenal. So I think Mikel Arteta has done an incredible job with Arsenal this season, especially after how bad they looked at the beginning of the season. I remember there was jokes going around that they might get relegated because they scored like 1 goal in their first month or something like that.
And they lost their first 3 games, and first game of the season was to Brentford away.
Yeah,
and that was the first time Brentford was in the Prem.
Yeah, they didn't look good that game either. It wasn't like, oh, Brentford got a lucky goal here. Brentford dominated that game. So,
yeah,
and I think as well we could probably say that Arsenal had the best summer out of any team in the Premier League as well.
All things considered. Look at City. Jack Grealish has done nothing. Look at Chelsea. Lukaku's done nothing. So I would say
actively hurt Chelsea.
I wouldn't disagree. And then if we're talking,
Spurs have Emerson. They got Emerson this summer.
Yeah, that really hasn't panned out. I was going to say Kulusevski, but I forget that was just
a month ago.
Yeah. So no, I would definitely say Arsenal had the best transfer window at the time. It kind of looked like a laughingstock because you're buying Ben White for 60 mil or whatever it was.
It was him, and who else did they get? Because
Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale was later on in the summer, but that did happen in the summer.
Yeah, that was a great move for them.
And at the time we thought it was crazy because he was going for like 40.
Yeah, and it's incredible how well he's played because he's been relegated like twice, and he didn't look good at Sheffield at all. I don't know what they're putting in his food, but.
I guess it just shows that it was his back line more than anything conceding chances.
And the Arsenal back line looks good now. I like Gabriel.
Well, because you know what it is? Ramsdale is just a really good shot stopper. Like, he's not the best distribution, or he's not great with his distribution starting the attack, but that's not what Arsenal need. They just need some stability in the back, and he's such an elite shot stopper that he can provide that,
And even though he's not a great distributor, he's so much better than Fern Leno.
Oh, not even close.
Leno could not distribute to save his life.
No, he couldn't even stop a shot to save his life, to be honest.
Incredible.
Yeah.
They had Emi Martinez for a little bit, who was outperforming Leno, and then he got sent to Villa.
Well, that made no sense to me. That they wouldn't stick with Emi Martinez, but I feel like that's kind of like what's the best politically correct way of saying this without being like gross? It was definitely an ego fight. I was going to say a big, fight, but it wasn't about that. I think it's more so like, okay, they invested this much in Leno. Martinez has been part of the fold. He's been in and out of the lineup on loan. They didn't have it in them, the Arsenal board, to just say, okay, we invested in this goalkeeper, let's stick with him, or rather drop him for the guy that's playing better. I think it was kind of like an ego thing. And that's why they ended up selling Martinez, although that was just although they got decent amount for him, it's just a terrible transfer. But again, they got Ramsdale, so they're not really complaining anymore.
No, I mean, I think they have a great team. I think their midfield, I really like Odegaard. You got Emil Smith-Rowe, who can either start or come off the bench, and he's either a super sub or he'll play a good 70 minutes, quality 70 minutes. You got Saka on the left or right, wherever you want to play him. He'll put in a good shift always. I think, like we've talked about, basically this past window is the one thing Arsenal needs is a striker. If you give them a striker, that team is competing for top four and possibly a domestic cup.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it like this, right? Arteta, again, I hate to make this illusion because I feel like I've said this before. He's like the Frank Lampard for Arsenal. Like he's there to, bring talent from the academy, nurture them into first team players on a consistent basis. That's why we're seeing that, they're getting red carded a lot. We have to we forget they are, I believe, the youngest team in the Premier League right now. So there's a lot of growing pains that come with that. But again, at the same time, if they're already this good at this point in their careers, like let's just see what happens in like 3 years, especially under the right manager. So if you give them like an elite manager, say like, I don't know if this will happen, but say like Ten Hag shows up. I think Ten Hag could win something with that team. And assuming he brings in those one or two pieces we were talking about, a striker to like solidify that team, considering the way that those young players are progressing, that is a very, very, very solid core of players. So I think I think Arteta has done a good job in developing them, but they need one more manager, an established elite manager to come in and get the best out of those players so they could compete for trophies. But I think they have the team there for it.
I don't think they get rid of Arteta, though. That's the thing. I think at this point, I mean, we kind of know how Kroenke runs Arsenal too. As long as we're getting results, the manager will be fine. And right now, there's not really a big outcry to sack Arteta, so I don't really think they're gonna do anything. I think he's gonna be there for the long run. But I also like the way his project is going. I mean, as a Spurs supporter, I don't. But overall, as a neutral, you've got to be like, this team looks great. Like every piece basically everything that was a problem when he came in as a manager has been solved. The only thing really now is like we said, is striker. And I think that they're gonna have. I think if they get Champions League, they're gonna have the money to buy a big name striker. So it just depends on who it is.
I think the positions they lack, I agree. Striker is a priority, but I would say honestly, probably like a right back, and some cover for Kieran Tierney because I think Nuno Tavares isn't very good.
Yeah.
So I think but the issue is Tierney is an elite left back in my opinion. I think when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the league. But the problem is he's never healthy. So you're going to need some guy to come in like as a utility bench player or a role player in like American basketball terms to come in and kind of put it that could put in a shift. I'm not saying someone that's as good as Tierney, obviously, but someone that could put in a shift, assuming that Tierney gets a knock here or there. But I think the priority is a right back and a striker.
Tomiyasu? I think he's great.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because that's true. Tomiyasu's been playing really well. I mean, I'm kind of thinking along the lines of like depth as well because I think
they do need it. Well, it depends if what's his name if Bellerin comes back too, because I believe he's on loan right now.
Yeah, but
he doesn't move the needle. But I feel like he's not a bad backup.
I just don't see Bellerin. I feel like Bellerin's ego is too big for him to want that backup role. I mean, we know that they've had issues with Bellerin in the past about playing time. And I don't want them to, I just think it's stupid if they go find themselves in like an Aubameyang, Mesut Ozil type situation where like, he's getting paid pretty high wages. He was an established star for years. Then they're like, okay, we're going to give you a reduced role. And then, all hell breaks loose. So I think if they can bring in another right back for cover, that's fair. That's a really good point about Tomiyasu. I think that's a very solid team. But again, I think the priority, like you said, is definitely a striker.
Yeah, and I think before we wrap up this Arsenal discussion, I think one other thing would be, can Arsenal keep these players too? Do they still have that pull that they used to have to bring in players? Or because we see a lot of people kind of disregard Arsenal nowadays. Can they still bring them in? Or can if they get Champions League, I think it'll be a lot easier to keep players. But at some point, you're going to see players like Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, and other these young stars try to bolt for bigger teams.
I mean, I agree with that. I think the Champions League is the biggest way of keeping them for sure. I'm also under the belief that a lot of those young guys, they came up through Arsenal. There's a level of loyalty there. So I think they'll stick it through. If you're talking about some of these players that might have transferred in from elsewhere, who knows? But I think the priority is Europe. The priority is obviously top 4, but I'm saying if they don't get top 4, they need to be a European team every single year, whether that's in the European Cup or if that's Europa League, right? So it can't be a similar situation to this year where they're only playing league games and domestic cup games. That's not good enough for a club like Arsenal. Even if they finish top, they need to be finishing at least top 6 every year. And I think that team should be competing for top 4 every year. So at the very least.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Christian has arrived. So welcome, Christian.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Christian?
Christian, you watched the game set?
What, your Spurs game?
Yeah.
No, but I did see the score. It's a good sign.
Hey, remember when I told you that Harry Kane's a better passer than Robert Firmino? Yeah.
I actually agree with that.
Well,
but again, Bobby Firmino's
if you didn't realize, Roberto Firmino's kind of like not playing that much, so kind of an obvious one there.
I mean, I'm not saying now. I'm saying all time. He's that guy. Kane is that guy. You should have seen the pass he put into Son today. Oh, my days. It was incredible.
Can we transition into the Leeds? Because we're talking about this. I want to transition into
we
Leeds.
should. This is actually a great transition to Leeds. Marco Bielsa and Leeds. Let's look at the league standings right now. They are currently in 15th, playing 26 games, which is one game above Watford, but Watford's playing, I think, now. And Burnley has 3 games in hand on Leeds. And currently, Leeds sits at 23 points, while Burnley sits at 20. And they've lost 4 in a row, Leeds as well. Yeah, it's not looking good for them.
Leeds are getting relegated this year. I'll just tell you right now, they're getting relegated.
I think so, too.
They're not good. They are, in my opinion, they've looked this past maybe month or so, they've looked like the worst team in the league, not even close. Because the difference is, like Norwich, you could say has less talent, but what does Norwich do? Norwich competes in their games. Norwich doesn't look like they're like, okay, obviously there's exceptions when they play massive clubs like you'd expect, but I'm saying in general, they compete in their games. And I'm not saying necessarily it leads to wins. That's why I think they'll get relegated too. But I think Leeds United, I mean, you see them every week getting demolished. And that's because Bielsa's so insistent on playing his attacking style, but that back line can't keep it up. You can't play a high line against, Spurs or Manchester United when you have these championship level center backs. How do you expect to not concede 4 or 5 goals every single time? Stop playing that system. You have to be a lot more. Again, I know it's not Bielsa. It's not the Bielsa way to be more conservative. But
He's an awful coach. Like, I'm just going to straight up say it.
He's not an awful coach. I just think he's a little arrogant in his ways. I don't think he's a bad coach because he was the one that kind of brought them back up. He's the one that kept them up. But I think you have to play up to your opponents. So like I think the fact that like they get demolished every single time they play Man U or Tottenham or City or whoever, they need to realize that against those clubs they need to be a little bit more conservative. And then if you're playing like a Norwich or a Burnley or even an Everton, you can maybe be a little bit more daring. But play up to the level that your opponents are. Like you have to be a little bit more strategic and a little bit more tactical. I think the problem is Bielsa's like, okay, I don't care who we're playing. We're going to play this way, and that's it. You can't do that. If you want to stay up, especially with this team, maybe if you're Pep, you can do that because you have world-class players. You can't do that if you're Bielsa. But that's just my 2 cents on it.
They play Bundesliga ball in the Prem. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, Leeds would finish the top 6 in the Bundesliga.
Oh, stop it. No, they're
not cut out. They're not cut out.
I mean, they would be mid-table. At the very least, they'd be like comfortably mid-table.
They would be perfectly fine. They would fit perfect in the Bundesliga where the defenses don't exist. It's just high lines and running behind. But against compact teams in the Prem, it's not good for them. Not good. But you're right about Bielsa. He doesn't change, and it doesn't make sense. You're playing top. I would say it's not good. You got to play compact against Tottenham. They're known for. It's been years since Tottenham's been able to break down a deep block, but they're like, no, we're going to come after them. Like you're asking to lose. Like look what Burnley did. Exactly. Look what Burnley did. Sit in a deep block. Tottenham has no creativity in the midfield. Boom, you got it.
Sean Dyche's just a tactician. Hate me for saying it, but he is.
He's
He is.
that guy. I think they stay up, and I really think Wake.
I think so too, man. I think
because
so.
Wake Forest was incredible. You give that a 6'7" guy who's got they created a monster over there. I'm telling you, they're staying up, and they're finishing like 15th. They're finishing 15th this year.
I mean, do they finish higher than Everton?
Might.
Do they finish higher than
I
Everton?
mean, Everton's not getting any points today. Let's be honest here.
I'm not gonna say that because we just lost to Spurs. It was a heartbreaker. I'm not gonna jump the gun on that one, but.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about the title race today too.
All right, let's do it.
But wait, let's finish up on Leeds though. We haven't got Christian DeBlock's take on Leeds and what.
Well, first, do you guys think they're gonna sack Bielsa? Because there are the reports of Marsh coming in.
If they go down 100%.
If they
Do you
go
think
down,
you would sack him now though?
No,
No,
no.
right?
They're gonna see out the season with him, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially because the fans love Bielsa. Like Leeds fans love Bielsa. I think it would be awful. It wouldn't go over well if they sack him before the season ends.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close because Burnley's actually playing. I mean, right now they're trailing Crystal Palace 1-0, obviously early in the game. But Leeds, the way they play, especially without Calvin Phillips isn't on the field right now. Patrick Bamford, they're missing center backs, Liam Cooper. So yeah, I'm a little concerned too. And I mean, what they've conceded 10 goals, they've conceded 14 goals in their last 3 matches.
It's ridiculous.
And if you can even go farther back, it's 20 goals in their last 5. So, yeah, I mean the numbers are ridiculous, and they're gonna continue to pay the price. I don't know who their next match is. It's against Leicester, and if they play like the way they have recently, I would not be surprised if Leicester can put up 2 or 3 goals against them. So, yeah, I think the level of concern is high. I think I wouldn't put them to go down. I think their quality is good enough to probably just stay up.
Their quality is good enough. This guy, I think it was Dallas, missed a wide open. I'm going to show you the picture right now.
This Dallas,
incredible. You would think this guy had a. How do you miss this? How do you not score from here? There's no goalie and no defender near the goal, and he got blocked by Ben Davies, who wasn't even in the picture on that play.
No, I mean, they're not playing well right now, but I mean, after the Leicester match, let's look. After that, they play Villa, then Norwich. So there's a couple games. I mean, you come down the stretch, they're going to have to play a couple of their poor teams as well. So I think they'll do enough because I think Norwich and Watford at least are not good enough to get enough points to catch them. Burnley is interesting. I think it could go either way. I would put Burnley to go down still, or a team still. I think Brentford's in trouble too. Brentford's played 1 more game than Leeds, and they've been playing poor as well. So I don't know. It's a deep race though. I think there's a chance Leeds can stay up. There's also a very good chance they can go down, considering the way they've looked recently.
I think no questions asked, though. I think we all agree that Norwich and Watford are done. They're done, I think.
Even though both are playing a little bit better recently, yeah, they just have had such a poor start. I mean, 17 points for Norwich right now. And, I mean, they looked all right last night. They didn't play terribly against Southampton. But just because of how big the gap is, no chance either of those two come back.
I think they're dope, but they're both done. I think Newcastle is completely safe. I mean, now they're playing in a game where Brentford, their opponent, has a red card already. So they're now on the 21st minute. They have practically 3/4 of the game left with, going against 10 men. You'd expect them to at least get a result there. So I think they're comfortably safe. I think Everton is comfortably safe, in my opinion. But again, assuming Burnley can kind of keep riding this ship of good momentum, and I'm not just saying it for the meme, I think they could possibly stay up. I mean, I just think, and if they do, Sean Dyche is top 3 manager in the Prem. I'm not joking. He's a top 3 manager in the Prem if he pulls it off.
Warhorse is insane. Like, that guy is incredible. The stuff he was doing, he's 6'6". He's great at holding up play, and he's got techers too. He was flicking the ball past defenders and midfielders. It's incredible. But this guy's insane.
I mean, it's crazy how he's getting the best out of this Weghorst guy when he plays such a defensive system that shouldn't let strikers strike. And you know what? The best thing that could have happened for Burnley was selling Chris Wood. Best thing that could have happened for Burnley.
Yeah. He's a
So
famous guy.
Sean Dyche, not just a
Mastermind.
mastermind on the pitch, but he's a mastermind off of it as well.
I really think they stay up, man. Like Watford is not staying up. Norwich is god awful, and we need to ban them from the Premier League. I think it's going to be either Leeds or Everton will go down.
I think Everton are too. It's like too big to fail. Like I think they're just too good. I don't know.
I agree. It'd be weird seeing Everton in the championship.
They would win the championship by like a country mile. It wouldn't even be close. And I would say the same thing about Leeds, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't know about Leeds because especially if they sack Bielsa.
Listen, even if they sack
Jesse
Bielsa,
Marsh could I don't know.
Jesse Marsh is meh. But I mean, in the championship, just the quality of Leeds is.
Yeah, but you have to remember a lot of Leeds players would leave.
Yes.
Messier is probably out of there at that point.
Rafinha
is 100% out of there.
Rodrigo
Phillips.
Hey, you know where Rafinha might end up, right?
Spurs.
Nah, I think he ends up in Newcastle if they go down.
Really?
I don't know. I just think that they would pay whatever fee that Leeds would want. I'm assuming he probably has a relegation clause in his contract because they're Leeds. But if not, I think Newcastle would pay whatever fee, and I think they'd give him insane wages. And I think he'd be, when I tell you, like the perfect player for that team, like absolutely perfect for him. I think he deserves to be at an established top 6 or like a Newcastle that's aspiring to be there. Like I think he definitely deserves it.
He's quietly got almost 10 goals in the league too. Like nobody talks about it, but he's got a lot of goals so far this season. So yeah,
he's got a great free kick.
Who does?
I rate him very, very highly. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, I would love him at Spurs.
I mean, he would fit well at Spurs, but I just don't see it after you guys got Kulusevski and you still have Son and
there's just no place for him.
Yeah.
To quote Shaq, I may have been what's the quote that he said? Because I have to say this about Kulusevski. I owe you an apology, Kulusevski. I wasn't really familiar with your game. I really thought this guy was gonna flop. And this guy
Christian and I told you this guy was good, bro. Like, come on.
Joe after one match said, "Oh, he's not."
Yeah, he wanted him gone, or he was like, or I think it was after like.
He's too left-footed for me. If he needs to develop that right foot.
I mean, okay, but
Kulusevski's only what, like 21, 22?
21.
Dude.
I like Bentancur though. I think he's gonna be great.
Bentancur's solid.
Kulusevski.
But Kulusevski's a good player, Joe. Very good player.
Yeah, I owe him an apology.
I definitely do.
But speaking of Spurs, let's talk a little bit about Antonio Conte and his outburst after the loss to Sean Dyche's Cornets. Or what are they?
They're the Clarinets. I don't know.
Clarinets, something like that. Squidward team. Anyway, he said after the game, he basically said that he should be sacked. He should be fired for losing 4-5. Said maybe he's not good enough, and he retracted it either today or yesterday when he was like, I'm just very emotional. I'm an emotional manager, and the losses eat at me. But it's just funny that Spurs just managed to break every single manager that they have. They're an incredibly bad team, and I was looking at the starting lineup today for Spurs, and it's just not a good team. Like you can't put it on Conte. The team is just bad. Starting lineup consists of Sessegnon. Oh my gosh,
Sessegnon
and Doherty, who scored a goal today. I was like,
Doherty scored.
What?
Had an assist too.
Exactly. I don't know.
Is Doherty better than Emerson Royale?
Emerson Royale is a fake Brazilian. He's not Brazilian.
I didn't want to answer the question.
He literally, you know what? Out of all the Joeisms, that might be the most spot on one I've heard in a while.
That man, you cannot convince me that Emerson Royale is actual Brazilian. You can't
have that horrible or such little technical ability and then call yourself a true Brazilian soccer player. I just don't.
Exactly.
I agree with that actually.
He was in the game. He was right on goal today, right? He got a perfect pass played and he tried to round the goalkeeper and he couldn't. Like this guy, like what are we doing here, man? Like please get him off my team.
You guys should just loan him out next year. He should not be anywhere near your first team, in my opinion.
No, we need a right wing back bad because Doherty and Emerson are how could two twins be so ugly? I don't get it. Like it's bad. It's and then we had Winks starting in the midfield because Bentancur got hurt. He got wrapped. I think some Burnley player tore the guy's hamstring, put him in the dirt, which was incredible.
That's the dice sheet. That's the dice sheet tactics.
It is. It's incredible. But now we have two midfielders, Højbjerg and Winks. We literally have no other midfielders now.
By the way, Christian, is it worth telling everyone Joe's reaction when Burnley scored their goal against us?
I love that, Max. You can tell our viewers what happened.
So in our group chat, our show group chat, mind you, Joe is a devout Spurs fan, but we've been on this Sean Dyche Burnley train for a while, and so his team goes down 1-0 to Burnley. That ends up being the winner. You would have thought Spurs scored based on the reaction of Mr. Joe Camrota. So let's just say he was very excited to see that one go in, despite it was against his team. Much to our actually, I wouldn't even say I was surprised, but classic Joe moment.
All right, let me explain. Right, here's my thought process. I wanted us to win that game, right? But my thought, I'm like, a draw does nothing. A draw to Burnley is embarrassing, right? So I'd either want us to win or just give Dyche and Burnley all 3 points. So I was like, okay, they get the 3 points. It's tough for them to get relegated now. Obviously I would prefer us to win, but at the end of the day, it's better than just sharing the points. It's just one point each. That doesn't help either of us.
I mean, listen, I was happy for Sean Dyche too. The difference is I'm not a Spurs fan though. You know what I mean?
It is what it is. We stink anyway, so I don't
I feel like the win against City kind of just like makes you okay with the rest of what happens this year. I feel like that was probably just such a satisfying win for you guys that like
that was incredible.
I can imagine. But I hate playing you guys. Like it makes no sense why you guys turn up the way you do. It's insane.
How did that way? Speaking of which, how the hell did Liverpool get back into the title race? How did this happen? City was 12 points clear like a month ago.
I'm not okay. Is it bad that I'm like knock on wood? I'm not even stressing, dude. Is that bad? Like Liverpool are a very good team, but I just
decide to win the next 20. And you lose one game, it's like we're not going to lose again ever.
Oh, good for. I mean, listen, they're a very, very, very good team, but like, listen, they'll make things very interesting. I just look. I'm also coming from a perspective. There's no disrespect to Liverpool. It's just more like I didn't expect City to have that much of like an advantage the entire year. So like when it's now a 1 game difference, like I'm like that's just how the Prem works. Like the Prem doesn't allow for champions like that, except if it's like just a bad season. Like I know like when Liverpool won, City were kind of having a terrible year. When City won last year, Liverpool were having a pretty terrible year. Like both these teams have been winning games. There's a chance that Liverpool win a domestic trophy this weekend. Like I rate Liverpool. I've been on this for a while. Christian could attest to this. I've known Liverpool are a very, very good team from the start of the year. Like, so to me, it doesn't shock me that's why when I mean, like, I'm not stressing, it's not that Liverpool can't like overcome City. I mean, I'm not stressing in the sense that, oh, the gap is narrowing. Like I'm not surprised in the slightest. Like this is a very, very good team that City are going up against for the title. Like it doesn't shock me that they're in the thick of things at all. It shouldn't shock anybody, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe would agree too. I mean, going into the Spurs match, I thought there was no chance that City would drop points. I thought even when the goal came in the first minute, I thought, okay, well, our first 10 minutes or so, it was kind of City's going to find a way to get the win. And of course, that didn't happen. But no, I mean, from a City perspective, they've been on a run of form where they haven't lost since October prior to that game. So would I be surprised if City wins the rest of their matches in the league? Absolutely not. I think even when Liverpool comes to your place in April, I wouldn't be surprised if City can get the win.
That's going to be an incredible game.
That's going to remind me of the game. Max, I'm sure you remember the game. Yeah, 19 with Sane. Yeah. When Sane hit that winner. I expect it to be the exact same way. It's just going to matter.
I know it's April. Do we know the time yet for it?
Listen, City Liverpool these past couple of years.
It's April 10th, Joe, at 11:30. That's a Sunday.
Okay, City Liverpool in recent years have been far like the most entertaining game of soccer in the world. Like there is no more entertaining rivalry right now than City Liverpool. I think El Clásico
was the exception of last year.
Last year was the exception, but I'm saying in general, like those are always like high intensity, high stakes, like insane games. Always.
Oh, They're always great because both teams play attacking football. Both teams play it the right way.
They go after each other.
It's like
They
it's
really
like
do.
watching Bielsa and Leeds, except with actual defense.
And the thing that I like about it is like, although like Manchester and Liverpool, like the two cities don't really like each other. Like although I mean maybe because it's not united against Liverpool, which is a huge, like probably a much larger, like more intense rivalry. There's like a level of mutual respect there. You know what I mean? And like I love that. You could even see it in the way that the managers approach each other. Like, I mean, obviously the fans are going to talk crap to each other. That's what you expect in a game. But like you could tell, like I don't know if you feel the same way, Christian. Like there is a level of mutual respect for both of the teams. Like they know what they're dealing with. They're not going to underestimate one another, and that's what makes it so entertaining to me. You know?
Go
ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say, I just hope both teams continue to win out until that game because I want that game to be like, I guess I would put them even. If Liverpool wins that game against City, that would put them even.
It would go to goal difference, which Liverpool has been scoring more goals than
that, right?
Huh?
Wow, the goal difference. No, Liverpool has better goal difference right now.
At the moment, yeah, it's like teetering back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean,
Liverpool just won 6-0, Joe. They just beat Leeds 6-0.
That's incredible. I didn't know that. I thought City was dominating it.
I think City might have had the edge by like 1 or 2 goals, but when you beat a team 6-0, that really helps your goal difference. So like,
if there's one thing Liverpool does, it's feast on Norwich and Leeds.
No, but look, City did the same thing against Leeds. They beat them 7-0 this year? I'm telling you, Leeds are going to be relegated this year. You cannot keep that up.
No.
City, that's the reason. So I remember when the season started, like Liverpool had, I think, like a 10-goal gap over City. And then City played Leeds and someone else.
I just looked. Newcastle, you won 4-0, and then you scored 6 against Leicester.
Yeah, exactly.
Leicester stink.
Leicester stink. I'm talking about like they beat Leeds United 7-0, and then that's kind of what like helped them propel to overtake Liverpool in the goal difference. But then Liverpool go ahead and do the same thing to Leeds. Like Leeds United shouldn't. I'm sorry. They're not going to stay up. I just don't see how that's a sustainable formula to stay up. I don't see it. How does that not affect your confidence? If you're conceding 6-7 goals to all these top teams, I don't get it. You know.
By the way, Joel Linton just scored for Newcastle, and I don't think he scores against anybody other than Spurs, according to Joe.
Joel Linton, I'll never forget. 2019 was like the first or second game of the season, and I'm sitting in my dorm room, and I see Joel Linton score a goal against us, and it was like 1-0. I'm like, this is gonna be a bad year. It's gonna be a bad year, and oh my gosh. I don't think Newcastle. It's going to be his second career goal. What?
Wasn't Newcastle recently like dead last in the league? Because right now they're in 14th as things currently.
They were dead last in the league for a little bit, yeah.
They're now up to 25 points as things currently stand, and then they're in 14th. That's incredible.
Yeah,
they might jump Leicester soon. Leicester's only at 27 points.
Yeah, but Leicester have 2 games in hand.
That's true.
But again, it depends on. Let me see their next 2 games. Let's see here. They have Burnley and Leeds. Hey.
I think the goal just got taken off, buddy.
Huh?
Did the goal just get taken off? No, it didn't. I lied. We gotta watch Christian Eriksen later though. He's playing for Brentford today.
He's starting, right?
I don't know.
I guess he's coming off the bench.
Yeah, he's got to.
But that's assuming that they even take him off the bench because they might just – I mean, I guess later in the game, if it's still 1-0, they have no choice but to put on more attackers, you know.
Yeah. So. I'm intrigued to see how he does, to be honest. Like, I'm kind of
also, can I make a side comment really quickly? This is just me being me, like classic Max moment. So obviously, if you look at the red card, it was their left back that got – or sorry, their right winger that got sent off. Okay, wait, no, never mind. You know what? Erase that because my understanding was I thought it was their left back. It's their right winger because I think to myself, okay, if anybody in the back line gets taken off, then you have to make a substitution to replace the back line. There's no questions asked. Like, I hate these people that, you know, the left back goes out and then you're like, oh, okay, like I'm not going to make any substitutions. It's like, but no, you need to have someone playing left back. It's more important to have a left back than a defensive mid, in my opinion. So, like, that's why you would have to substitute. For a second, I thought their left back went out and that Thomas Frank didn't bring in a substitute. Okay, never mind.
I have a strategy for that. actually on FIFA. I do. If I lose a defender, I'll do I think it's was it a 3-5-2 or something like that. I'll keep 3 in the back, then I'll put left wing back, right wing back, and I think I take a midfielder out. Or I put the red card player up in striker, so I still have 1 striker, but you don't need to have the 2 strikers at that point. Who cares? You can just run 1 striker up there. Then you have your whole.
So you're running like a false nine situation?
Kind of, yeah.
Just run it with Wakehorst.
He's incredible.
Weghorst could be a goalkeeper, dude.
He's incredible. He can play any position he wants. He's that guy.
He's 6'6".
And he's incredible. Like, I don't get it.
6'6" in the heart of your midfield.
Bro, he was legitimately. So I watched 2 Burnley games recently: the United game and the Spurs game. Legitimately dominating.
Yeah, he put Maguire in the blender.
Yeah, Maguire. He's another. I know how Max feels about Harry Maguire.
Listen, let's just say thank God City did not pay 90 mil for that guy.
No, I'm telling you, if United only paid like 60 million for Harry Maguire, we'd be talking about him as such.
I think even 60 million is robbery. I think at the time when he was getting sold, 60 would have made more sense. But no one in their right mind thought 90 was a good offer. And by the way, I think it was all smokescreen. City were never going to pay 90 million for Harry Maguire. There is no. I just don't have it in me to believe that City would.
I don't even remember Harry Maguire being that guy at Leicester. Like, I don't know.
He's never been that guy. Never.
I remember he was good, but it was 80. What was it, 80 million for him or something like that?
His best moments are for England. That's when he plays at his best. Is when
free back.
Yeah, but guess what? He's still not a 90 mil rated player.
No.
So I don't understand how United thought that was good.
Redknapp actually benched him today.
He got benched?
Yes.
No, I think he's hurt.
No, he's on the bench.
And I know, but I don't think he's fully healthy.
I mean,
are they starting Lindelof? Lindelof's been in decent form for him, to be fair.
I think Lindelof, he actually started him at right back in midweek.
And by the way, really good idea for him to bench what's his name? Marcus Rashford for Elanga. I think Anthony Elonga's been insane for them.
I mean, he scored that winner in the Champions League for that. Not winner,
equalizer. But still, huge.
He's been playing way better than Marcus Rashford this year. No question.
Can I just say something about
Rashford's been poor.
real quick?
Yeah.
You saw how he plays well when he's playing Bundesliga sides, and then when he plays a real Premier League team, it's disgusting.
Who?
Sancho.
What?
He played great against Leeds. Leeds, he played great, but that's basically a Bundesliga side. And then
I think he played well against Burnley. No,
not a little bit.
No,
not really.
No, he did not.
Never mind. That's a different match.
No one plays well against Burnley.
Only Burnley players are the ones that are playing well when Burnley's playing a game. Okay.
Burnley at home is a disgustingly difficult fixture. I hate that.
And listen, it may not be totally not because Turf Moor's grass is completely destroyed. No, it has nothing to do with that. Okay, 100% because Burnley are just an intimidating team to go against. It has nothing to do with the pitch.
They are like playing Burnley. When you play Burnley at home, it's light work. You can beat them. Like that's not really a concern. You go to Turf Moor, they're that 4-4-2.
They need more turf. That's for damn sure. Okay.
That's awful field.
That's probably like the worst pitch in the Prem, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, easily. I struggle to think of a worse field.
I'm trying to think.
I can't think of one.
I literally don't know if there is another one that's
Turf
that bad.
Moor is true Brexit football. Like
classic Brexit stadium.
It really is. It really is. It's incredible. I saw some guys pouring rain in the game. They pan to the fans. The game, and some guys just in a Burnley jersey, no coat or anything. I'm like, these guys are incredible. How are they doing this?
Burnley is the definition of English football. That is what they are. They are everything that's great about English football.
I agree with that. Like unironically,
yeah.
Like it's literally like just support your local.
They're just. I mean, think about it. Small stadium, like very compact pitch. Kind of needs a renovation all over the place, including the pitch. the style of play is like 1965 English soccer. And then you have this guy, Sean Dyche, who's like the epitome of like the British manager, like the English manager.
He literally will talk in his press conference about how he wants to go grab a pint of beer. Like, it's incredible.
he's just talk about. He is like
he's an electric factory.
He's an electric. He's like, I'm telling you, he's the Coach O of soccer, because like Coach O has that grit. Like, he's the stereotypical college football like Southern head coach.
Yeah,
he's literally the Coach O of soccer, but he epitomizes everything that like fits the English game, like historically. It's even tactically, like it's incredible. That's why he's so like.
That's like the British formation.
Yeah, and Burnley, like tell me a more British like sounding club than that.
No,
like Burnley.
I know
it's just please keep them up at all costs. Keep them up. You know what? You want to make the European Super League, make them franchises. Burnley can never go down. Burnley stays in the league every single time.
Yes,
that's the only guarantee.
On top of that, if we're going to keep a team up forever, I want to keep a team down forever. And that's Norwich.
Norwich, I agree with that. Yeah,
we can never let them come back up.
Listen, the yo-yo, you got to cut the cord. Got to cut the cord on the yo-yo.
Them, Fulham, and
they're unbearable. I mean, they're just. I can't do it. I can't have. I hate seeing them every other year. It's like they're an even year team. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they do. They just show up every even year. No, get out. Please. Cut the cord on the yo-yo.
You know what I want to see up again? Huddersfield.
They get a playoff spot right now.
Dude, you know what was the most electric team that no one talks about? Neil Warnock's Cardiff City.
We need them.
What was that, 18?
That was, I think, 18 or 17. Yeah. Dude, you know what? Listen, the only exception for Norwich. The only exception.
Second in the championship.
You know what?
Huddersfield's second in the championship. They might do it.
Look, let me make a proposal. A proposal to keep Norwich in the Prem. The only exception is if they hire Neil Warnock as their manager. Thoughts?
You gotta die for the 3 points, lads.
Where's he
That's the only exception for Norwich to stay up. Is Neil Warnock has to be the manager. Yeah. No one else.
He's another great manager.
He's at Middlesbrough.
He's out of the job. He doesn't have a job right now.
He doesn't?
He got sacked?
He got sacked.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got sacked like start of the year.
That sucks.
He would be a great manager for like Birmingham City. I feel like he'd be a great manager for like Birmingham City, like classic, like Peaky Blinders, like classic British, you know what I mean, powerhouse. Like,
we need them up again. If Villa's going to be up,
they're going to get relegated.
City up. I would also like to see Stoke up again.
Stoke is a power. Sunderland.
Oh.
Youngest owner. Their owner's only 25, right?
Sunderland's owner?
So let me give you the backstory. So he comes from the Dreyfus family. So they are the ones that, like millionaire, billionaire family. I think it comes from fashion or something like that. The dad was the owner of Marseille when they won the Champions League in the 90s. Or Louis Dreyfus, that's the full last name, Louis Dreyfus. And then this kid has like $1 billion inheritance. He spends whatever.
Is that like Elaine from Seinfeld? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think you're thinking of something else. I don't know. Okay. But anyways, no, long story short, this guy, I think he paid like 50 mil to buy Sunderland. So he did it, and he's now the owner. He's 25.
That's great.
Insane.
They need to be up because that Newcastle-Sunderland rivalry. We need to just make the Prem just full of rivalries.
I think everyone would be in favor of Sunderland being back in the Prem. But I just think that they need to figure – they're all the way down in League One. They got to figure things out.
Yeah. What's League One looking like? Let's see.
They might be they might be getting close to promotion in there. They're in 5th right now in that division.
Good enough, Sunderland. We got to get you back up.
MK Dons might be coming up to the championship.
Huh?
MK Dons might go up to the championship.
That's the club that doesn't exist?
That's Dele Alli's club. I have to love
MK Dons. Everyone says MK Dons isn't a real club.
Because I think they did something with Wimbledon? They took them over. I don't know. It's a weird situation, but no one likes MK Dons.
Yes. No one likes that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No one likes MK Dons. I genuinely still don't entirely understand why. I need to ask someone that lives there, but My understanding, I think, is like because all they do is like they're like loan merchants, and all they do is like develop players for other teams, and like that's it. They're like,
I'm gonna look it up. Why do people hate MK Dons?
Joe's gonna do some research.
See, the Google wanted me to look up why do people boil lobsters alive? I googled that last night. But
nice. Well, speaking of Cocho, right?
what?
That's what they do in Louisiana.
So this is the answer. This is a long one. But by the year 2000, Wimbledon FC were in deep trouble. They're running on empty. They had a shared ground with Crystal Palace, so the club elected to move operations to Milton Keynes, the only large, and a new club was moved. What?
Yeah, because MK Dons was established like 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
So basically, I think they kind of just like overtook. They're a franchise football club apparently, because I guess they were created by I don't know. I don't really understand.
Yeah, but people, all I know is that they are universally disliked.
Yes, I literally, no one has ever been like, oh yeah, MK Don's nice.
Yeah, I support MK Dons. Yeah,
never heard that in my entire life. They're a London club though. They are a London club.
Yeah,
they are. I believe. I know that's where Delhi. I know Spurs played a game against Watford in the Carabao Cup a few years ago at MK Dons, and they gave Delhi the captaincy because he played there. That's a cool little neat tidbit for the Soccer Sit Down show. I don't want Bournemouth up either. If we're just gonna go off teams who would want up.
No, the only reason why I wouldn't mind Bournemouth is because of Scott Parker. That's the only reason why.
Fair enough. He's not at Fulham. They sacked him from Fulham.
He left Fulham.
He left when they got relegated.
Interesting.
He left, and then because Bournemouth is his like childhood club, so like he wanted to go manage there.
I swear he was a Tottenham boy too. Scott Parker.
Yeah.
I remember after Mourinho got the can, people were clamoring for Scott Parker to manage Spurs.
It was too soon. Too soon.
Yeah.
But dude, honestly, that Fulham team they probably should have found a way to stay up. If they would have been like the way that they ended the season, if they would have been able to like do that a little bit earlier in the year, they would have stayed up 100%.
Yeah.
But
Fulham is one of the yo-yo clubs that people like. A lot of people like Fulham. But I don't know.
Listen, let's not. I don't know why I feel like mentioning this. A lot of people don't really realize this, that the owner of Fulham is also the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Shad Khan.
I had no clue.
Yeah, Shad Khan owns Fulham and Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow, two terrible teams.
So let's look at the American owners, right? Kroenke owns Arsenal and Rams. The
Glazers own the Buccaneers.
Glazers owns the Bucks. And that,
Fenway Sports Group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FSG owns Red Sox and Liverpool.
Penguins now too. And
Penguins, yes.
Penguins now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't Burnley have American owners too?
I think you're right about that.
There are a lot of American owners.
They don't really have a good track record, with the exception. FSG, because FSG with the Coutinho signing kind of opened up their checkbooks a little bit, or the Coutinho's selling Coutinho, they opened up their checkbooks a little bit. But FSG at Liverpool were very heavily criticized before that happened because they were very cheap.
Alan Pace owns Burnley.
Yeah, because I know last year's when American owners came in for Burnley.
I don't think he owns any other teams though. Just let Dyche own Burnley.
But yeah, Shad Khan also. But Shad Khan, I think he's technically British. I could be wrong. I'm not sure if he's an American citizen. But he's the owner of Jacksonville Jaguars and Fulham.
That makes sense why he's always playing. He's always sending Jacksonville to England to play games.
Always, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because think about it. He's based out of London, so makes sense.
Yep,
exactly. Oh, did you hear about the sanctions that might be put on? Roman Abramovich might be forced to sell. There's rumors that he might.
But you want to hear something interesting about that?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. They would sanction him. So first of all, he'd be banned from living in the UK, which is practically already the case.
Yeah.
So he'd be banned from living in the UK, and also he'd be forced to sell. They would freeze all of his foreign assets, which means he can't do business abroad. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Did you know that Chelsea owe him $2 billion?
Really?
So they have a loan obligation to Roman Abramovich, $2 billion. So what that means is if they freeze his assets, he could go and do an FU and say, Chelsea, you owe me $2 billion. Chelsea Football Club goes into administration.
Oh my gosh.
Think about it. They're worth 3.5. He bought it for 160 mil. They're worth 3.5. If they give him $2 billion, they will have to find not only a new owner, they won't be able to finance that club.
Sure.
So they would have to probably find themselves in either a dire, like we need to have a new owner now, or they're going into administration.
That would be incredible.
I'm not gonna be an ass about it, but yeah, that'd be insane.
Like, not like I'd be happy about it, but like that would just be like interesting to like see what happens.
But yeah, but like, isn't that like, I don't know if you knew that. Like, I read about that yesterday. So like I don't know why they owe him $2 billion.
I know he saved that club because they were going to go under in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's probably where it comes from. It's all accumulated. And then obviously with inflation and stuff, the value rises. So like, that's the thing. So like, if the British government come in and say, you're banned from doing business here, you have to move away. Well, first of all, like I said, he's not even based out of the UK. But if they go ahead and say, you're not allowed to, you're going to have to sell the club. You can't do any business here. He can literally, and he probably will, turn around and say, you give me my $2 billion, you owe me. And the club is going to be screwed with a capital S if that happens.
Do you think that – I don't think it actually happens, though. I don't think it actually happens.
I wouldn't put it past him. Remember, these Russian oligarchs think differently. They operate differently.
No, not that. I don't think they're going to get the sanctions on them and stuff.
Oh, I think they will.
You do?
I think so.
That'd be crazy.
The only reason being that, again, I feel like we're getting into politics, but like if you look at it, the NATO countries have all imposed sanctions, and they're imposing Putin. So they've imposed sanctions on Putin individually already. What they're going to have to do, especially the British, because they feel like this obligation because he's been so heavily involved. Because think about it,
he's been really
close to a holding company based out of London, a holding company. Their biggest asset is Chelsea, among other businesses that he has based out of the UK. And that's the way that he can kind of finesse the system in a sense, where he can kind of have a controlling stake in those companies while still operating abroad. Because like I said, he's already not really allowed to live in the UK. So because that's the way he has it kind of under this guise of a holding company, that's how he conducts business abroad, or especially in the UK. So I think because the US and other countries are kind of pushing sanctions against the Putin administration. Remember, Abramovich is one of the major oligarchs that helped Putin assume power. So because of that, to send a message, I think they're 100% going to impose sanctions on him.
I mean, that would change the British football completely. European football, that changes that completely.
100%.
Because Chelsea are one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
And them going into possible administration, they wouldn't have
administration is worst case scenario, assuming they can't find a buyer. I think they'd be able to find a buyer.
Oh, they definitely would, but still, I still think that hurts the club big time.
But there's that threat. Yeah, I think they are not sleeping very easily at night right now. It's a big problem that's about to happen, I think.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Newcastle's going to be in the top 6 one.
Dude, Newcastle. Whew.
They're funded by an entire country.
Literally, they're funded by a government. They're funded by a monarchy. Literally.
I don't know how they got through with that. I really don't. But
by the way, did you see that they are also getting involved in golf?
Really?
So the Saudi Arabian investment fund.
I did see that.
They're creating they want to create a side league that takes away from the PGA Tour. They want all of these golfers that are involved in the PGA Tour to go to their league.
I think I may have saw that.
I heard Phil Mickelson might be joining it.
That's what I'm saying. Phil Mickelson's the one that's kind of come out saying, like, although I don't agree with the human rights issues over at Saudi Arabia, I think I might still join the league because they're paying so much. Like, he said something along the lines of something like that, which is ridiculous, but it's true. That's what he said. Yeah.
I think that's all we have for today, right?
Yeah, I feel like we kind of went on a tangent.
We went on a huge tangent, starting with talking about championship teams into Chelsea going into administration. This peak soccer sit-down show. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, go Burnley.
Get up, let me begin. This is Sitdown.